could start by talking about the health issue that we had earlier on, and this health of the organization. And I think it's the compound of two things really. The one thing is that what's happening outside in more immediate environment, but also in the more distant environment outside of any organization. That's one thing. And then the second is what happens inside the organization.
Yeah.
Now, if you look what's happening with the working life and working conditions these days, you might say that, well, a lot of things that are actually moving and changing quite profoundly. And the issues that I'm talking about is like the qualifications that used to be very stable, as well as the work profiles of an individual used to be pretty stable as well. So you had this kind of quite fixed position, you had the track, and you could serve for one organization for all of your career life, basically. Now this is not so anymore. So what happens instead is that there is all the time this changes which challenges yourself to be more able to adapt to new conditions. So the question is that how do you help and support people to be more adaptive, namely to be more able to learn to new requirements or new competencies that are needed, because that sort of sets your possibilities, so to say, to move on in your own working careers. So that's what I call kind of external circumstances of organizations and the companies. And then comes the inner ones, which is that, okay, how, as an organization, how can we help people so that they can start supporting themselves in a better way?
Do that, yeah.
And maybe there, something that I have been thinking myself quite a lot is that this is basically the same thing as when you are playing tennis. When you're playing tennis in a good way, you do it in a very focused but at the same time very relaxed way. Yeah. If you are too tense, it's not going to work. No. You're going to miss the balls and you're not able to use your potential. No. So what we can perhaps learn out of this is that you need to be focused but relaxed and create those conditions that help people to actually to make use of their innate capabilities and that help them actually to grow as their tasks and as they as their challenges grow.
Very, very good. Just to pick up on that particular point, is that when we are stressed in the game of tennis, we immediately tense up. So by tensing up, we don't play tennis very well.
No.
And so it's the tension that actually causes the prefrontal cortex to close down. So we're actually become dysfunctional. We are less creative. We're less able to make decisions and react to the environment. Yeah. So that's why playing tennis when you are not stressed but you're fully aware, you can play very well. It's called a state of flow, I think, in the sports field. So what we're talking about is really having organizations which really create a stress-free environment. So the stimuli are there to change, but you cannot adapt to the change if you are fearful of the change or not confident in making the change. So really it's creating an internal culture where everybody is encouraged and supported to be able to adapt to the changes that are taking place internally, which is the internal environment, so that the whole organisation can adapt to the changes that are taking place in the external environment.
Right.
So unless it can take place internally, it cannot take place externally.
Yeah.
So the metaphor or the analogy for this is the cell, actually. So if the intelligence of the cell is actually on the membrane or the outer surface of the cell, which is in touch with the environment. So so if there's a change in that environment, then that will trigger into the DNA a response that can come up with a protein that will fit that environment. So that's how we evolve. So we need the changes in order to evolve ourselves and our thinking and who we are. But we need an environment. We need to have a supportive environment to do that. So I think the key is to have that type of culture within an organisation.